right. So, Abigail, I know that we did our like interview the other day, like going more in depth, but I
Mhm,
guess like since I'll be putting this on YouTube as well, like
mhm.
I guess like kind of briefly explain like how you even got into like this whole helping entrepreneurs with managing money thing.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'll keep it to the short version of the story. But when I was 16, I started a piano studio business, teaching piano lessons. And my piano teacher that had taught me since I was 6, she let me propagate a business off of hers. So she was so popular, she filled up all of her spots and students were on wait lists. And so she started telling them that they could either be on her wait list or they could try having me teach them. And so she taught me about how to run the studio and how to teach and everything about the logistics of running a piano studio. She sent me my first students. But when I was like, okay, but what about taxes? She said, I'm not a tax expert. You're on your own.
Yeah.
And which is fair. She was not a tax expert. But I was like, okay, I'm on my own with taxes and I don't know anything about it. And it's sick, scary. And all I could imagine was, like, getting arrested by the IRS or, um, there was this Charles Dickens play that my family watched every year for Christmas about, A Christmas Carol, and Ebenezer Scrooge is the way he is because his parents went to debtor's prison, and I was absolutely terrified of debtor's prison, and I was like, "If I get this money stuff wrong, I'm gonna go to debtor's prison, and it's gonna be bad, and my whole family's gonna my life will be over." So I took that through my whole entrepreneurial journey and finally realized that the reason why I was unable to make money is because I was so scared of having it because I didn't know what to do with it. And when your brain says you will die if you get this, it will make sure you don't get that.
Yeah.
So I had to realize that that was what was happening and say, okay, I'm going to learn how it works so that I can eliminate this fear and then I can figure out the actual making of it. But managing it for me was the first step because I'm very pre-oriented. I like to do things ahead of time. So I started learning accounting out of self-defense, and then realized that I already kind of knew accounting because I did a consumer math class in high school. I was homeschooled, so I got to do like real math for real life. And accounting really was not that hard. I actually really enjoyed it in high school. And then when I took an official accounting course, it was like, oh, I already know this. It's not that complicated. So now I'm an accountant because it just kind of happened that way. I didn't even set out to be an accountant, but it turned into something that I can do that people want, which is kind of how you start a business. So here I am. And now my job is to do accounting for people because most people don't want to do it themselves. But the other like larger mission that I see myself doing is encouraging people that they can understand it and do it themselves. I think that it's very important for every entrepreneur, every business owner, every CEO to understand how it works. Sure, you don't have to do it yourself, and there's a lot of like nitty gritty details. You don't need to be too far in the weeds. But if you're stuck in, I can't understand it, or this is something that only a professional financial person can understand, then you're giving your power away to them. And then you're dependent on them. And if they screw you over and you have to pay the IRS a bunch of late fees, like exactly.
Yeah.
So if you understand it, then you will know who you can trust because you'll know what they're supposed to be doing.
So I know you came up with this really cool spreadsheet. Um, do you want to like maybe walk us through like some of the maybe like, hey, these are the things that you should know like as an entrepreneur when it comes to managing the money? Do you want to just jump right into showing the spreadsheet, or like what do you think would be the best for us?
Sure.
Or kind of go off of what Monica's looking for? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think that there's 2 parts to managing business money, and I think we're gonna cover both of them today. The first is knowing what to do with it as it's coming in, and then keeping track of it as it's going out. That's the basic how things work, coming in, going out. And the spreadsheet helps you understand where it all goes when it comes in. And
Hmm.
then accounting, bookkeeping, paying taxes is focused on the how money goes out part. So, um, I mean, I for when I first started, the thing I was focusing on was taxes. So we are going to talk about that a little bit, but it's going to be more like big picture. Here's how to think about taxes rather than here's what form to file and blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
of
Like
course, of
we
course. Yeah,
will we will
that's
go over
two
a little
nitty
bit
gritty.
of the
Yeah,
sorts of things you can write off your taxes, but especially because I know we have so many different countries and
yeah.
nationalities and everything, so I want everybody to get something out of it. So,
I think the main thing for a lot of people is it's like people aren't tracking like anything, right? Like I
mhm,
see a lot of my entrepreneur friends and even people that so like my aunt and uncle moved to from Indiana to Florida. And
mhm,
one of the reasons that they're able to do that is because they had a tax business that they sold for
mhm,
a decent amount of money. So like
mhm,
I kind of grew up like around that. You know, if I when I was little, my mom had me when she was like 16. Like we lived
mhm,
with them for a good amount of time and they had the tax business at the house and so they were able to move into like their own office and blah blah. Blah.
mhm.
So like I remember my aunt would always tell me like, dude, people are not tracking anything and they run everything from one account. Like they're not even setting up like a business account. They're just,
Yeah,
doing it straight from their personal and then they come in like 5 years later and then you have to like go back and do
sort
all this.
through it all. Yes,
So I
yes.
think what people are asking in the comments of the post in the community was like, hey, is this going to
Mhm,
be for the US? Is this going to be for everyone? I think, and obviously this is what you're going to talk about is
mhm.
a lot of the tracking and stuff can apply like universally, and then a lot
Oh
of the
yeah,
mindset around it can apply universally. But then the
yes.
forms and all that stuff you'll do in your own country. But I feel like that's not even the main thing most people struggle with.
No, no, no. I think that worrying about what forms and what to write off and loopholes and like getting worried about it's literally what in the South we call making a mountain out of a molehill. You get worried about the
Yeah,
little things, and so you don't do anything. And if you at least do the big picture stuff, you'll be in a much better position to worry about the little things later.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, context for people that maybe aren't in the mastermind.
Oh, why am
Abigail,
I knitting?
yes. So we're on the because I can imagine like someone that's not even an undeterred, like this lady is just knitting. What the heck? But like when on the mastermind call, Abigail was giving like some of the coolest, like just calming, like best advice, and then she was just knitting at the same time. We're like, yo, this is like like it's just so calming. It's like didn't come across as like very pushy. And then
Right.
someone's like, yo, you should just do some of your talks like that because it's like it like calms us down like as you're talking. So for the trolls out
Well,
there,
that's
okay,
that's the
That's the
hope
hope.
because money
My
is
dau
so what is it?
No, I was gonna say my daughter crochets, and
Mm,
so, she she was going to a church with her boyfriend, and they were, like, in the what they call, I guess you could say, the VIP section. I don't get that, but, I guess that's the deacon board and
VIP
stuff.
section of church
Y
is insane.
Right, yeah, I'm just like I said, "Girl, I don't know what that is," but anyway, she said, "Yeah," she said, "I sit up there and they let me crochet." I said, in service, and I said, shouldn't you be listening? I said, well, what if you get happy and you got them big old sticks and they start going everywhere? She's like,
put somebody's
Mom,
eye out.
right, right. But she's not that kid. Not that could be
Mm,
me, but
mhm.
I get but it is calming because I'm watching you knit and I'm thinking, God almighty, I'm thinking about all the stuff that I'm doing wrong. But I'm from the South. I get the mountain out of a molehill and working on the bigger picture it's gonna help me. And and so I'm just gonna I can't even believe I'm gonna say this online because you're gonna put this online. So to make myself do better, I
Mhm.
was I'm writing stuff down.
Hmm.
What I spent, what's coming up, and it's like the most complicated non-chart form of writing things down. Like what you're going to have at this point, what you're not going to have here is, okay, here you can spend this here. No, you can't spend this there.
Mm,
You're going to have to
mhm.
wait here because you make this much money, X, Y, and Z during this time frame. So that's what
Yeah.
I've been doing. I love
Yes.
I love spreadsheets. I love technology. So I'm excited to hear about the big picture stuff so I can worry about the little stuff later.
Yes. Good, good. Well, at least you're doing something, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna share the spreadsheet with you. You can make your own copy of it, but you don't have to do it my way. Like, this works for me. This is my system that I created, but I want you to make it yours because you're gonna think about it, and it's gonna make sense to you possibly in a different format. So, take the principles and put it however you need it to be, so that way you'll actually do it. That's the main thing. Make sure that you actually do it.
Yeah.
And if actually doing it is really annoying, then you can hire someone to do it. But I want you to be able to know what they're supposed to be doing. So that way you can keep track of that for your own peace of mind. I think universally across business, finance, personal finance, people at high levels of income, people at low levels of income, everybody's goal with money is to not have to worry about it. They just don't want to have to worry about it. And if you do that by ignoring it, you will have to worry about it a lot later. But if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
if you put the steps in place and you automate it as much as possible, which is what the spreadsheet helps you to do, then you don't have to worry about it because you know what you've got coming in, you know where it's going, you know you've got money to cover the things that you are going to have come out later. You know you're going to be able to pay yourself. You know you've got everything ready for your tax person at the end of the year. You don't have to scramble to find all this information. It's already right there. So it's like an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. Like, if we worry about it a little bit right now, then you won't have to worry about it later. All right. So I'm gonna have to stop knitting for a second so I can share my screen here.
Oh, let me give you permission for this. There we go. Should be good.
Okay, cool. Um, so I have a couple of different things to show you. The first one, I'm just gonna do it my entire screen so that way I can pull things up. Entire screen. Okay. It's gonna be crazy for a second. There. Can you see this picture?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a visualization that I created for how money flows through a business because money
Is there a way you
follows
can do that? Is there a way you can do that full screen?
um how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So money follows the principles of water. And when you think of it as water flowing through different pools or different areas of your business, it makes it easier to visualize how it's moving. So, obviously, leads, sales, this is like the wild water. You have to get money coming in. But then when it comes in, it becomes your income, your gross revenue. And then ideally, you would have some go directly to savings, and that is to save for taxes and to save for profit and to save for an emergency fund. You want that to go directly here so that way you don't have to worry about whether or not you're using it for something else instead. And then the majority of it goes through your business, and then you pay vendors, and this is anybody that you pay for a service that you need to run your business. So vendors is a term that's used a lot in construction, but paying school for your group, school is a vendor to your business, or your Wi-Fi provider, your website host, anything that you pay as an expense goes to a vendor. Obviously, you need to pay taxes. You can give charitable donations. I personally give a tithe. Some people don't want to or don't care about that, but a charitable donation is another way to write off some things if you have extra money. That's why everybody at the end of the year is like, give all this money to all of these charities because people are looking for ways to reduce their taxable income at the end of the year. And then if you have employees, you have payroll. If you hire freelancers, you have subcontractors. Some businesses then provide benefits or retreats for their employees, so that can be another expense there. And then profits are the fun stuff that you can use for whatever you want. So this shows how money flows through the business. And now we're going to talk. I hate when it does that. Now we're going to talk about how it actually works in accounts. So actually, I'm going to go over here. So when you first start out in the US, if you don't register any kind of business formation, you're a sole proprietor. And your business activities and your personal money, you all file the same taxes on the same 1040 form. But when you're in business activities, you need to have your business money in a separate account because there's something called the corporate veil, which is basically where business people and the government people got together and said, we're going to pretend like if you keep your business stuff separate, then it's separate legally. So everybody is agreeing to pretend that business stuff is separate from personal stuff. And the only way to make sure that that happens legally is if your money is in two separate accounts. So if you have, let's say, an LLC and all of your money is all in the same account and somebody sues your business, a judge could say, hey, you didn't keep your business and your personal stuff separate. You didn't maintain the corporate veil. Therefore, all of your personal stuff is now at risk. You might have to lose it to pay whatever the lawsuit was. But if your business and personal stuff is separate and somebody sues your business, then they only have access to the business stuff and your personal stuff is separate, which is why people make a big deal about the corporate veil. The corporate veil doesn't exist. We all pretend. But it can be a very big deal if you don't want to pretend and then something bad happens. Basically, most accounting stuff is making sure that we're prepared in case something bad happens. So you need a personal checking account, personal checking savings, and then you need a business checking savings. Now, important note, the account that you run your business money out of doesn't have to be a business bank account. So most banks have a personal checking and a business checking. They do that because a lot of times businesses have a lot more money going on. And so they'll be like, oh, well, you can have higher limits and you can transfer more and you can have sub admins on your account and you can do view only for your accountant and that kind of stuff. But most people starting out, especially online, you don't actually make enough money usually to fully take advantage of business bank account advantages. So it does not have to be a business bank account. It just has to be a separate account from your personal money. So what I do, I don't have a business bank account. I have my personal money with Discover, and then I have my business money with Ally, which is an online bank. So, whoops, sorry. I hate when it does that. So, as long as they're in separate accounts, we're good. And then you want to have all of the money coming in, all of your revenue goes into the income account. I call it my pool can. So, if we go back here, this is my pool of revenue, my income. And then my pool can waterfalls down out into my other cans. And I'm using the term can because of Myron Golden wrote a book called From the Trash Man to the Cash Man. And he talks about how his grandmother had coffee cans and she'd put actual cash in the coffee can. And if she had money in her coffee can for groceries, she could buy groceries. If she had money in her coffee can for rent, she could pay rent. And so the saying that he put in his book was, your cans tell you what you can do. So I call this my can system because my cans are telling me what I can do. So my pool can is where all my money comes into. And then I divvy it up according to what we're going to talk about in the spreadsheet so that I know rules of thumb, we have these categories covered. So first thing I do is I calculate my profit and taxes, and that goes directly into my savings account. Then the operating expenses, OPEX for short, goes into another checking account, which is OPEX. I put my owner's compensation, which is what I pay myself. I transfer that to my personal checking account. And then if I have a business credit card that I put expenses on, that gets automatically paid out of the OPEX account. So this is the accounts and the structure that I have set up. Personal checking and savings, a checking account for the revenue to come into, a checking account for the operating expenses to go out of, a savings account where I save both my profit and my taxes, and then a business credit card. And I say business credit card, it's a credit card in my name that I only use for business purposes. That gets paid automatically, so I don't have to worry about late fees. Okay. Do we have any questions about that so far?
I love the visual because I'm a visual person. That was really good. And I'm actually excited about some of the things that I have in place. And then I'm like a
Mhm.
little disappointed of the things I don't have in place because that is my intent. So, because I compartmentalize money.
Yeah.
And this, I understand that system that you have set up. And
Mhm.
I feel like I could be a better steward of my money
Yes.
system. So
Yes. Very
this
good.
is this
So
is good. So thank you.
Yeah,
you're
I was
welcome.
gonna
So
say too, like I haven't read Myron's book, but I've read like, Profit First and a couple other
mhm,
books, Richest
mhm,
Man in Babylon, like all these things. And I
mhm,
think like obviously the concepts are great, even Rich Dad Poor Dad, but like I think sometimes you don't have like a visual that you can keep inside of your head.
mhm,
Like you kind of know what you're doing, but I feel
mhm,
like the thing that you made it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Because
mhm.
I remember even one time I went into the bank and they're like, why do you need all these things? And I try
Yeah.
to explain it to them, and they're like, I don't understand. I'm like, bro, you work at the bank. How do you not understand what I'm trying to do here?
Yeah.
So I think having, even if I would have been able to just print something and be like, listen, the money is going to be in the pool and it's going to, like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Yep.
nice. I like it.
Okay, great. So one thing that I will point out really quick is that my system, what I call my can automation, is a conglomeration of the Profit First system, Myron Golden's can system, I Will Teach You to Be Rich from Ramit Sethi. I've put all of this together into a system that is actually easier to manage, because the original Profit First advice was to have like an account and a savings account for everything, and it was too many accounts. So, like from a accounting perspective, you can keep track of things in like buckets within the same actual physical business account.
Yeah.
And so it makes it a lot easier because you don't have to do as many transfers. You don't have to then categorize all those
Mm.
transactions. Like
I'm
it
interested in
simplifies it
that
a
because
lot.
when I think a lot has changed since that book came out. One of the
Mhm,
things for me, for example, is a lot of these smaller banks were offering free, business checking accounts. It's like, oh yeah,
mhm,
you're not going to get charged. But now a lot of them are like, you need to have a minimum in there, and it's like
mhm.
if you're doing the profit first, it's like you're not going to have that minimum of 1,000
Yeah.
because you're always transferring it.
Yes.
And then the issue becomes, okay, if everything's in one place, how do I keep track of all these different things? So that's
Mhm.
gonna I'm interested to see your strategy for that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing about like deciding whether or not you actually need a business bank account or if it can just be like a regular checking account you use for business. Um, if you're doing your accounting yourself, then it can be a personal checking account. If you need to give an accountant access, usually it has to be the business bank account. So when I get making enough money to the point where I want to hire someone to do this for me, then I would have the revenue to make sense to open a business bank account, and then I can have an accountant do that, which there is, Relay Bank
Why would they
is
need to get into the actual bank account?
because we need statements to do bank reconciliations, and getting getting business owners to remember to get statements is literally like pulling teeth. Like you have to chase cats and pull their teeth.
Okay.
So
I guess I'm just more
having
organized, so I never thought of this.
having the ability, it's called view only access. So the accountant can log in and get the statement, but they can't make a transfer. They can't,
Okay.
set up a new accounts. They can only see what's there. It's literally viewing only.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes, if we have something in the accounting software like QuickBooks or Xero or Wave, and it doesn't add up with what the bank is saying, we need to be able to go see what the bank is saying. And so it just takes having to like track down the business owner and make them sit down with you for an hour. It takes that out of the equation and it makes it so much easier for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so, um,
But I guess
let's
like
go.
technically, if you're somebody that has a personal and you're worried about that, you would just
Mhm.
need to know that you might have to know how to get into your bank, provide the statements if you don't have a business account, I guess.
Yes. Yes, which obviously you should know how to get into your bank.
Yeah.
Like, knowing your bank and your password and stuff, like, it's like knowing your social security number or your address. Like, these are the basic things that all business owners need to know, just to, like, have in your head. Okay, so, um, let's go to the Can Auto. So, unfortunately, you can't actually automate transactions by percentage. If you could do that, we could actually set up automatic transfers every month in the actual bank account, and you wouldn't even need a Can Auto sheet. But as of right now, banks will only let you transfer by dollar amount, not percentage. So, this is the workaround. This the goal of this sheet is to tell you what you have in each category, how much to transfer, and when. So all you have to do is actually do it. You don't have to decide, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to do math. It tells you what to do. So in the Profit First system, he recommends doing distributions, which is where you take the income and then you divvy it up. You distribute it among your different pools. You do that twice a month on the 10th and the 25th. Now, sometimes if you're not making that much money, like right now, most of my clients pay me in the same like couple of weeks. And so I don't even really need to do it on the 10th because I haven't gotten any money yet. So it's all coming in on the 25th because I get paid monthly. So what happens is your money comes into the income account and it just sits there until you go to divvy it up into all of these other accounts. And because you're doing it on the 10th or the 25th or the 1st or the 15th or once a month, whatever works for you according to your revenue cycle and how often you get paid or how often money comes in. Um, Ideally, what we want to have happen is the money come into your pool can and sit there for at least 2 weeks, if not a full month, before it then goes into all of the other places to get spent. And what this does is it provides a buffer, um, where you're not spending the money you've made until the month after you make it. And this lets you know exactly how much you have to work with. You can budget, you know what you have coming in because it's already come in. You don't have to guess, you don't have to project. You know exactly what to work with. Now, this system has saved my butt this year because in August I lost a client, and that client was 51% of my revenue. But because I was a month out of spending, I didn't I didn't suddenly have to like get a loan or anything to cover it because I already had the money waterfalling down to all of the other things. And so I had a month or two even to make that revenue back before it started to hurt. So this system provides you with that. I don't have to worry about it because it takes all the guesswork out. You can see exactly what's going on before it happens. So let's say your money is in your pool can and you go in to your actual account, you log into your bank, and because all that's happening is money is coming in and then you're transferring out, it's easy to see how much money has come in that last date range. So let's say I'm going to do my distribution on January the 10th. Now the range is I'm going to account for the money that came in between December 25th and January 10th. And let's say that amount of money that I made was $750. Now, when I put that number in, the gross revenue, it calculates by
Can you
percentage.
can you change maybe the what am I trying to say? The view from 100 to like a little bigger?
Oh, yes. Is that better?
Maybe even a little more. I'm just want like just for like if someone's watching on like mobile or something. Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Okay. Okay. So I have my profit percentage set to 5%. Taxes are 30%, which we'll talk about in a second. And then owner's comp is 25%. Operating expenses is 40%. And then this just like makes sure that it's all adding up correctly. So these percentages can be whatever you want them to be. This TAP is from the Profit First, where he says your target allocation percentage, what you want it to be. I want my owner's comp to be 50%, but right now I need the actual physical dollars to pay what I have coming out for my business for operating expenses. Taxes are non-negotiable, so we'll talk about how to figure out how much to save for taxes, but that needs to go into a savings account and it doesn't get touched until tax time. So this part here, this number is combining profit and taxes, and that gets put into savings. This part gets transferred to your personal checking account, and this part gets transferred into your operating expenses checking account for your business. Now, because I do accounting and I have processing fees, when the money comes into my account, into it, which is QuickBooks, they take out the processing fees out of that account. So let's say they charge me $25 to process those transactions. So this money is coming out of my expenses because it's a fee, which means I only have this much to transfer. So that way I don't transfer too much out of my account and go in the red on my pool can. So then this number here, this number here, and this number here are what you're going to actually make transfers into these other accounts. So profit and taxes go here, your operating expenses goes here, your owner's comp goes here, and then everything else is
With that still up,
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
maybe this would be helpful. Can you go through each of these and then say business checking, personal savings like that? And that way, I think people can also see with the visual of like this is where each bank account will go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So this is the pool can or the revenue account where money is coming into. Then you're going to transfer profit and taxes into savings. Then operating expenses goes into your operating expenses account. And owner's compensation would then go to your personal checking account.
So far we have two checkings and a savings, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then a personal checking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. And then these others are representing the money actually leaving your system. So you're saving taxes, and then when you pay your taxes, it goes to the government.
Mm-hmm.
When you actually give a charitable donation, it goes to the charity. When you pay your expenses, it goes to the vendors. So these are not accounts in your system, but they are showing how your system connects to the larger economy.
Got it.
And then once at the end of the year or the end of the quarter, depending, you can take the profits that you have saved and then you can decide what to do with them. Some people want to reinvest profits, and this actually lets you do it because you know how much you have in profit and you actually have that much money in your bank account. Um, and so you can either reinvest the profits into your business or you can take the profits out and buy something fun for yourself with it. I actually did those things, both of those things at once last year because I saved up my profit and then I wanted to do like a end of year leadership retreat, which was only me, but I'm the leader, so that counts. Where I like took myself to a little Airbnb and planned what I wanted to do for the next year, like a big picture strategy meeting with myself. And because I had saved up the profits, I had enough money to rent an Airbnb and pay for some meals. And I actually got to take my husband with me. And so it was like a mini vacation, but then also a work event that was paid for by the profits from last year. So I reinvested the profits into my business and I also got to do something fun with it. Okay. So let's see here. This this also up here is a way for you to see what you would need to make in order to get the personal revenue that you want. So if I want personally $10,000 a month, a good rule of thumb is that the business needs to be making at least twice that. And if your owner's compensation percentage is less, so like right now, it's only 25%. And if my expenses keep being 40% as I grow, then I would need to make $40,000 in gross revenue in order for me to get $10,000 in net revenue. So changing this number changes this so you can see what that would look like, what you'd have to work with, how much in taxes you'd need to save, that kind of stuff. So this is a very, very brief planning sort of system, but Claudio's school calculator is actually a lot more in depth on planning what you need to make from school specifically. Um, okay, so talk me through how you think this works and make sure I explained it right.
No, it makes Abigail, it makes a lot of sense to me. It's not that I'm glad to know that I've been taught the right way, but I did not know how to manage it, like the flow
Mhm,
of it. The visual helps a whole lot. So now I'm starting to rethink how I can use things. I'm definitely going to be putting the spreadsheet to work, but the visual is clutch. I mean, I'm just, I guess because I'm a visual learner, but that does
mhm,
make sense. But then you're able to plan, as I have learned. You can plan things when you know it's like, okay, I know I can't go over here and buy 2 cups of Joe because I need to pay this bill, or I know I got this coming up. So it does put the obedience back into money management.
mhm.
And that is something I really appreciate, because writing it down, I mean, it's neat, but it's like, oh God, it's
Yeah.
it's stress. It's stress because when you're writing it, after a while you get at least I do. I get
Mhm.
exhausted. I'm like, dang girl, you got to it's like you're not making the money you was making before. So now I'm back in the second act of making money.
Mhm,
So what this does is take the pressure off, and it does relieve me of having to overthink things. And it's like, okay, I can't do it this month, but if I keep doing this and I make this much money here and I find some money here, then I can do it at the end of the month or
mhm,
the end of the year. uh
mhm.
exactly. So thank you. No, it you did very good.
Oh, thank you. Good. I'm
Let let
glad to hear it.
let me recap what I understand because
Mhm,
to make sure that it's on point. So you have the money that's coming in from your business
mhm,
every month or every that however often. This is going to go into a main account, which
mm,
we discussed could be business, could be personal, but it needs to be separate. It can't just be the same account you're buying your groceries and stuff from. So that goes
yes.
into one account.
Mhm,
From there, and this is the account that you're distributing all the rest of the money. So from
yes.
there, you have some of it that's going to go into operating expenses or the OPEX. This is what you're
Mhm,
going to be running the business from. So far we have two checking accounts, correct?
yes.
Okay. Then we have another one that's going to be savings, and this is where the profit and the taxes is going to go into.
Mhm,
So uh, a main checking account where everything's going into, another checking account where the operating expenses are going to, and then a third one that's savings that the taxes and the profit is going
profit.
into, and
Mhm,
then you'll have your personal account where you're going to be spending, and that's where you're paying yourself into that. So instead
mhm,
of, I think sometimes we have another account inside of from Profit First. You would have that account in yours, and then you would transfer it. You're just like, hey, have the one checking for the business where everything's coming in, the operating expense, one, two checkings. Third one is the savings where the
mhm,
profit and the taxes going into. Then you
mhm,
have your uh, uh, personal and another account that you'd be
mhm.
transferring that into. Is that correct?
Yes, 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 yes. And it can all of those accounts can be with the same bank if you like your bank. I have them at 2 different banks because that it makes it harder to be like, "Oh, I'll just borrow some money from the business and
Yeah,
then I'll pay it
yeah,
back later."
yeah.
Because it takes 3 to 5 business days to transfer. So that it reduces the
Well,
temptation.
my question is, this is my question. Um, so you said, hey, I was able to go on this retreat from the money that I have in the profit.
Mhm,
And this is what you were mentioning before. If I have a savings account and the
mhm,
money from taxes and profit is going into that same account,
mhm.
how do I then know what percent how much of that is for taxes and how much of that is for profit if we're not creating two separate ones?
Well, the easiest way and the way that everyone will be able to do it is to look at these 2 columns. So this is not only calculating it for you, but it's also your record of what what you've put where. So if you're at the end of the year and you're like, "Okay, I've got this much money in my account, what's what?" If you come here and you select push shift and click this, it shows you the sum. So it can this should be what's actually in your account. And then okay, we're gonna have to do a little bit of math here. So I've been trying to make it where we don't have to do that much math, but we do have to do a little bit of math. So if we have let's use these two because that's easier. If we have these two in our actual savings account and we want to know how much was profit and how much was tax, we're going to add these. So we have $7,000 in our account and we want to know how much is profit and how much is tax. If we divide $1,000 by the total, $7,000, and then you multiply that by 100, this tells you that out of the total of what is in your account, 14% is profit, and then 86% goes to taxes.
And that percentage would always be the same, though, right?
Yeah. Unless you need more or less for taxes or you're saving more or
Oh,
less in
true, true,
profit.
true. And then and then I guess the other thing that can be tricky is like if you're changing that, that's
You
the
shouldn't
thing.
be changing that. So taxes should stay the same unless so when if they change the tax rules, it's going to be year by year. So this should be the same for a whole year. Even if you need to change it like for the next year or whatever, it should be the same. Profit should more or less be the same Unless you are increasing in revenue drastically and you're like, I'm putting 40% to OpEx, but I'm not even spending all of that, then you can save whatever's left over as profit. But this way, you know you have at least this much profit. This is the paying yourself first part of profit first.
Yeah, yeah. So let's say, all right. So let's say somebody's doing this right now,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Bro, if I have to do math, I'm gonna throw my whatever device I'm at out the window."
Yeah.
What is it? What all right? What would your advice be for them? Okay, so you've been saving. You did what we just said. You have a savings account. You have
Hmm.
uh, some money in there from profit and taxes, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's the end of the year. I want to be able to, or I think even in profit first, sometimes like at the end of the quarter, right? You can
Hmm.
distribute some of these. So like,
Yeah.
how should they know? Like, okay, you can actually take this much uh, out of there.
You can just sum the column. So for this for profit for the year is $37.50. So if you are saying, "Hey, I want to see how much profit I made January through March,"
Also,
that's how much I will pay.
factor into your answer that most people are probably terrible at Google Sheets. So when you say sum, they might be like, What is that?"
Well, I mean, you can actually go through with a calculator and add the numbers yourself, which is an option. But if you click on a cell, hold
Hmm.
down the shift key, and then click on the one as far down as you want to go, it combines them all. And then in the bottom right corner, it shows you
It does that
the
automatically.
sum.
I never knew
It does it
this.
automatically. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, so all right. Oh, so basically, so you don't even necessarily even need to do like a lot of math. You would just know like from this time to this time,
Hmm.
I put in this and much into
Hmm.
this account because I shouldn't have touched it. So you don't really
Exactly.
need to do percentages. It would just be like, okay, from
Yeah.
January till this quarter, January, February, March, if I
Hmm.
sum this much is in there. And if I
Hmm.
want to distribute 50% of that to myself, then I just take that number, divide by two or whatever that it would be.
Yes, exactly. So if you wanted to reinvest the profits for the first quarter, you would then transfer $37.50 from your savings account to your operating expenses account. And now it's back in the money that can be used for businessy stuff. If you wanted to take the profits out of the business and distribute profits to yourself as an owner's withdrawal, then you would transfer that much money to your personal checking account.
Yeah. So, and maybe I'm trying to ask questions that I can maybe imagine someone asking just to help, but
Hmm.
because sometimes I know even for myself, it's like you can get really caught up in the weeds of things. So
Yeah.
let's say someone does this, right? So let's say like there's
Hmm.
3750, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to distribute 50% of that to myself, but let's say it's $40 to make it easy, right? So 20.
Hmm. Yes.
I can imagine someone thinking, okay, well, now that $20 is not in that account. So do I need to account for that somewhere on this spreadsheet? That way, when I do this sum again, like it shows up. Does that make sense? Or would you
Mm.
say like I guess my question too is like at what level would you tell somebody, hey, like you don't need this to be perfect yet. Just like this is to help you track to a certain level. That way, like
Right.
how how crazy should people be going of like trying to figure this out? This is why this is basically the question.
Okay. So your question is, are we accounting for everything in the sheet, or is this more of a big picture thing?
I guess the question is kind of twofold. So like if we're keeping track so far of everything, right?
Hmm.
But let's say you distribute, like, let's say you pay some taxes or you pay even a charity or you give yourself some money from the profit. Like,
Hmm.
if you just do some again, the next time, like, we already took some money out of there. So all that money,
Hmm.
if we just do some, is not in there.
Hmm.
So would someone need to put like, hey, I just took at the end of March $20 out
Hmm.
of there, or
Yeah.
would you say, hey, you don't have to like worry about every single thing, like just this is as far as you should think about it, and then if you're trying to get more in depth, like you can, but right now this is for people that aren't keeping track of anything, and like it's okay if it's not 100% perfect.
Well, the question about what happens if I accidentally account for money I've already taken out is a good one because you don't want to go into overdraft in your actual accounts. So let's say we, at the end of March, we distribute profit for the first quarter and you take that $20 out. Then down here at the end, you would say, took $20 profit to owners distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you come back in at the end of June, if you summed all of this and you're saying, oh, I need to transfer, let's say $60, is profit for the end of June. Wait a second. I don't have that much in my account. Oh yeah, I took this much out, whatever. So then if you are only doing the second quarter, you would just sum those for April through June and just leave this out because you already did that one.
Yeah.
Now, I'm showing you this in the sheet because everybody's going to have access to the sheet. The way I do it personally is I have my business money with Ally, which is the online bank, ALLY, and they have something called buckets in their savings account. And so I wonder if I can stop sharing and log in and just show you. Let me do that. I'll talk you through it while I'm signing it. But they have the buckets inside the bank account. So it's like it's all in one account, but then it keeps track of this much is profit and this much is savings
Oh,
and this
yeah.
much is emergency fund. And it's still in the same overall account, but I can see like sub
Nice.
accounts
You can
within.
do this in like Revolut, Wise, like I think some other banks and stuff too. So basically, what you're saying is like for example, in Wise, I can have all my money in there, and what we used to
Mhm.
do is we would create like a date night. I think they call it. I think there's just called buckets too, or something like that. Jars maybe,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we know that we have this much in
Mhm.
for what's going on. So it sounds like you're doing the same thing, but it's like a savings account or whatever. But then you would have the profit and taxes. So when you look in there, you're like, okay, it's an easy way to track it.
Yes. So let me share the screen again really
You
quick.
can give us your bank account details too if you want. Don't don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Okay, so this is what it looks like in Ally. You have buckets that you can name for whatever you want.
Oh, nice.
And then when you distribute, so this is when let's see settings, how money comes in. So when money comes in, can go see what's being transferred to the account and this much percentage of it goes to these. Now, when I transfer, I put it directly into my buckets, but let's say you don't have all of these other things going on because I obviously have more complicated. I make it more complicated for myself. But let's say you only have these two, profit hold and tax hold. And I call it hold because you're holding that money for later. So my profit hold is, what do we say, 14%, and tax hold is 86% of what's being transferred to savings. So
Yeah.
I would set those percentages here. And so that way, when I transfer money to the account, it automatically puts it in the right bucket.
Oh, that's fire.
So you can do it that way. And then I am a big believer in emergency funds. I also have an emergency fund for my business, and that is most of last year's profit. So I'm reinvesting by putting it away for emergencies so that way I don't have to touch anything else. And then I know I'm going to need a new laptop, so I'm saving for that. And then I have something that I call the gem store, which is an admin game I play with myself, which is not really how to manage money, but it is really fun. So I can tell you about that later if you
So
want.
I
It's
know
not
I
part of this
know
workshop.
I know that you're logged in, but is there a way for you to go to the like to the bank like main website or something just so people can kind of see if they're interested? Maybe they don't have an account set up. Okay, well we can actually see it there. So Ally, ALLY.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I have is just their regular checking account. And then the savings account is a high yield savings account. One of the reasons why I started with Ally in the first place is because they had the highest interest rate for savings. It was like 4.1% or something. And now they've added a whole lot more stuff, but let's see. We want savings. See what the rate is right now for savings. So one of the reasons why it's going to load for a second. That would be funny if it says 0%. One of the reasons why I hold my taxes. We're going to talk a little bit more about this as we go. So right now it's 3.3%. In interest on what you have saved in the account. So the more money you have saved in the account, the higher your interest is that you're earning on it. Which this is like the bare minimum. You should at least be earning interest on your savings accounts. Investing it is a separate strategy. High yield money market accounts are as a separate strategy, blah, blah, blah. But when you're thinking about paying taxes, if you pay more than you need to, at the end of the year, you get a tax return, but it's a interest-free loan to the government if you pay extra, because they're not going to pay you interest for getting to use your money over the year. But if you save it in a savings account that pays you interest, then you can pay the government what they're owed at the end of the year.
That makes sense.
You have all of the money that you need for it. You're not scrambling, but you've earned the interest on saving it that whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, versus them getting the interest.
Exactly.
That'd be nice if they did that, but
no,
that's a story for another day.
That's too much to ask.
Yeah. We'll leave that one down.
Yeah. Okay, so that's more or less the money management side of things. Do we have any thoughts or questions on that?
I don't know if this is the appropriate place because I feel like this could maybe turn into a long conversation if we do. But I do want to kind of throw it out there,
Okay.
which is like I think it's like so this is great if people aren't doing anything, and even if people are kind of they're organizing it. I can see a lot of people that are like, this makes sense, but I just don't want to do it. But then I think there's also another level where it's like I want someone to do like everything. And and my brain was kind of going into like I feel like there's smaller things. So there's a step between doing it yourself and having an accountant doing all of it that I feel like you can maybe find a way to solve with the school community. Where it's like, bro, we can just pay some monthly thing and like some of this like it gets handled. I don't know what that is. But that's kind of like where my brain was going, where it's like, dang, if there is a group of us and it's like either we're on a call like this and it's like, hey, we're all gonna walk through our percentages, or even if it's like, hey, I'm not gonna do all of the accounting, but I will transfer the money or so. I don't know what that looks like, but that's kind of like as we were going through this, I was like, I think that would be helpful for a lot of entrepreneurs because this is something people get really stuck with, and I think there's just certain industries where everything is just like it's in a box. It's like if I'm a personal trainer, all I can do is go to the gym with you. But it's like there's so many more things that I could use to get in shape. And I think like accounting is like I can only do these things. And I think maybe you're going to be in a position where it's like you have the freedom to get creative with some of these things and like how you want to help us with this because this is very helpful.
Oh, good. Well, I actually was thinking about running a challenge in my group next week. Maybe next week if I can. I feel like it's not that hard to set up a challenge, but yeah, we're like walk you through actually opening the accounts and making sure that everything is being transferred to the right one and that you're changing out, what your bills are being paid to with the right card and like some more of the nitty-gritty stuff. I feel like I could help. There is a large gap between doing it yourself and having someone else do it for you because when it comes to, so this is money management. What we've been talking about is money management, not accounting. When you're managing your money, you're thinking of it big picture. When you're accounting, it's very granular. And so between doing it yourself and having what's called a family office, where you actually have someone come in and move the money for you, where they have the ability to get into your bank account and actually do things with it.
Yeah.
accounting is in between that. So most people, so if I said I would set up this system for you and you wanted me to literally do it for you, I would need the login to your bank. I would need
Yeah, of course.
I would
Yeah.
need the routing numbers, like very sensitive information. So most people aren't going to want to give a
Yeah.
stranger on the internet access to your bank account. That is totally fair. So, but if I like help you and you do it and I'm just like, do this, push this button, here's how to find it in your bank and blah blah blah. Like there are some things that only the business owner can do
What
forever.
what I think would be helpful is the accountability, right? I think
Mhm.
a lot of us know, like Monica was saying, all right, you just told me on the 10th I need to do it, on the 25th I need to do it.
Mhm.
It's easy to either not do that, or sometimes it's like, yeah, I want to buy a flight to Budapest though. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is,
Mhm.
right? And I think it's like, even if I'm on a call with other entrepreneurs and it's not getting done for me, but it's like, hey, on the 10th we have a call, and
Mhm.
now we're going to do all of our transfers, and if you have a question I can answer those questions. But
Mhm.
also the accountability of like, hey, were you able to hit the TAP things or whatever? And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
cool, I'm going to see you again on what is it, the 25th, the 10th and the 25th, right?
Mhm.
um and it's like, just doing that, I feel like that would be like that. I know, to me, would be super. I don't know about Monica, but like, I'm always like doing that just by myself, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
if I had other people and I had that accountability, I think also it makes me want to be like, I need to have this money in there for this call, because if not, if I don't have anything, I don't want to be the person on the call that don't got nothing to transfer. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like me on the 10th.
That is so
Yeah.
funny, but that's good. I mean, the bigger picture of the whole thing is that the money management part. I'm kind of like D. A lot of entrepreneurs, we get to the point where it's like, okay, ain't nobody looking. It's dependent on me. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week.
Yeah.
And all all you're doing today is getting
Mhm.
a repeat of tomorrow. You're going to get a repeat of tomorrow. It's like, oh shoot,
Yes.
I'll just get to it then. um, which is why I went to writing, because I said that's
Mm.
deliberate. But even then, I got away from writing because I was doing it digitally in my notes, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
and that worked really well. I did really well with that. But
Mm.
the management part of the river system,
Mhm.
my grandmother used to have the cans. She had
Hmm.
cans. She had a sock in her breast,
Yep.
and that's where the
Oh,
real
that's
money
insane.
was. Yeah,
That's
I mean
wild.
that sock was this long. I
Oh,
swear to
that's
God, she
crazy.
didn't wash the sock.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
That's crazy work.
it was this long,
Not even under
and
the
it,
mattress, in her
yeah,
bra.
no, she had money in the mattress. I don't know where old people got money from back then, but I mean, she had money in the mattress and everywhere.
My
But
grandma too. When
yeah,
when she
so
passed away, we went through all of her clothes. Like, we had to go through every single piece of clothing and check all the pockets because she would have $20 bills stuffed everywhere.
Grandma's always got money somewhere, because they never know, they gonna give you something when they see you.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, 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 my dad when he died, we were like, this. He's a man. He's protective. So you had to be
Mhm.
careful where you were sticking your hands into, because he had things that we didn't know he had around the house where if
Ah,
trouble came, but then
he booby
money.
trapped it.
So yeah, so my son and my mom just found, and I remember when my dad used to collect these silver dollars.
Mhm.
I mean, we got one from the 1800s. I mean,
Mm.
but it's like it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we've got to figure out what to do. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's why I think that's where I get that compartmental.
Mhm.
Let me set up this a bank account for this. Let me set up this a bank. And I was like,
Yeah.
I said, this is too much. I said, I can't be
Yeah.
getting the most return back on what I'm holding in three different savings accounts. And I wasn't.
Mhm.
So I went back to a simpler system like what you're doing. But I just went through that because of I had got knocked in the head a few times.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So this
I would definitely be down for, like, if there was some call where it's like everyone's doing the same
Okay.
thing at the same time, because I think also it's
Mhm.
encouragement for us to be like, hey, don't transfer that money yet.
A
Like, what?
reminder. Yeah.
I think it's not even just like a reminder. I think sometimes we know, but it's just like Monica said, no, like, dude, like, no one's gonna tell me anything if I transfer my money today. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think like being on the call is like, hey, like, just letting us know, like, hey, hold out like on the thing. And like,
Mhm.
I know other people are doing it. I know like also like if I get on the call and some people are like, dude, I wasn't able to transfer anything like this month. Like you're not the only person.
Mhm.
And I think there's so many things where we're talking about how to make money together.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not? I think if you just take this system and it's like, okay, you have to do it by yourself, maybe in the community, and you're like, you can post and ask questions, but then
Mhm.
some of it like doing it with us, and then obviously then the next level is like the accounting stuff. But there's nothing that I've seen where it's like, hey, here's this system, and we're gonna do it with you, and everyone's
Mhm.
doing it together. And if you need help, you can ask questions. But here's some accountability. Here's like a call. Like let's all like hold each other accountable to the system.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that for sure. And I'll be the one being like, "I'm gonna watch you guys because I don't have anything to transfer today."
But if we're on there, you will. If you're on there, if we're on there, you will because we'll be paying you to do that.
Ah, there we go. Yep, yep, yep. We could do
So
that.
it's like, let me take my $10 and put five here, two here, and three here.
Yes, yes. But see, that's the thing, because if you're doing it by yourself, you're like, "Oh, it's only $5. What's the big deal?" But then if you're I mean, we say if you start making all this money, then you have like it's too overwhelming and you don't know where it's all going. But I've found that when the Bible says that he who is faithful in the little things will be faithful also in much, like being faithful with your $5 is what makes it possible to make 50,000.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not going to suddenly magically make 50,000 if you're not even paying attention to your $5.
Exactly.
So you have to build that habit and that discipline of doing what you need to do, even when it doesn't matter,
yeah,
because that's going to give you the discipline to make when it does matter.
But it does matter, just like you said, going back to the biblical perspective, even if people are not even on that level, it becomes a habit. And then
Exactly.
your brain is then trained. Okay, I got to do this. It doesn't matter if I got $10, put five over
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
My aunt, she's still alive today. She tells these stories. She came through the Depression era.
Mm.
And so she talks about how, I mean, she talks about it. We used to, as kids, we used to think, okay, she's losing it, but she wasn't. She said, every time I got paid, I had 1 quarter left and I used to put it in savings.
Hmm.
I mean, when I tell you, she knew where all her money
Every
went,
penny. Yes.
every penny. But I mean, she was so proud of the fact that she would save 1/4 from every paycheck,
Hmm.
but it adds up.
It
And
does.
but it served her well. And then you
Yeah.
create that muscle memory, like if you're in the gym, you create a muscle memory. It's the same thing in the brain, you're just doing it. So it is
Mhm. Get these guns.
right, right. That's right. So but people get real sensitive about money. That's the only
Mhm.
thing that I see. It's like, okay, I'm looking at this guy, he got $10 million. I'm gonna tell you, I ain't got $10 million, but I'll say I ain't got 10 million yet.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
in order for me to get to that, God can't give me that. If I can't take care of $10, He ain't gonna give me 10 million.
Mhm.
Because He's like,
Exactly.
baby girl, you're not ready.
Yeah, you're not ready to handle the responsibility of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has happened to me. That
Hmm.
has happened to me, which is part of my second act story. I mean, I was
Mhm.
making a lot of money, but I had gotten to a point where I don't even want to say it. That'll be another trip. That'll be another topic. Yeah.
You can do a workshop.
Yeah, I can do a workshop, but you're right, Abigail. But it's the mindset.
Mhm.
And you and I both believe in the same biblical principle, but having that mindset. And it's just like sometimes it's an aha moment. It's like, yeah,
Mhm.
dude, you
yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
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 So
It's also the habits, and it's also the thought, like the thought that comes through, because if you're like, "Oh, it doesn't matter," with $10, then when you've got
Yeah.
$100, $1,000, $10,000, if you're still thinking, "Oh, it doesn't matter," your mistakes are compounding the higher up you go. So you have to stick that thought out of your brain at
Yeah.
$10, so that way you're doing
Yeah.
the right thing when it matters. But one thing I wanted to show you, because you were talking about writing down your expenses
Mhm.
with there's a second tab on this spreadsheet that's called an expense schedule. And what you can do, this is some of my actual expenses, but what you can do is go through your account and see like what, because most things are monthly subscriptions now and they come out on the same day. So you can say on the 13th, OpenAI, I get charged for ChatGPT.
Right.
And on the 19th, I pay for the mastermind. And on the
Right.
21st, I pay for Canva. And so you can add up these things that you pay every month, and then
Mhm.
you'll know what your fixed costs are
Mhm.
that come out every month. And that way you
Yeah.
know I need to be making at least $300 in my operating expenses in order to not be paying more than I'm making.
Yeah, it's a game
You can
changer.
see.
No,
Yeah.
this sheet is a game changer.
Okay. I'm so happy.
Yeah, no, really, no, it is, and I'm very grateful for it. But I can be a little vulnerable right now and say that I need that. I'm just in a different place right now.
Mhm.
But I really do appreciate that. I can put that to work. I used to work with long spreadsheets because I worked in food service. So you had to have percentage of this plate, percentage of that.
Mhm.
You don't use a box of salt to make fried chicken. You only use 2 ounces of salt. So you had to, I mean, we had to cost that out. I mean, I still have the spreadsheet from that.
Mhm.
And it does work better when things are automated, if you will, once you put
Mhm.
your prices in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, this to me, this is gold.
Good.
One thing,
I'm
one
very
thing
glad.
you could maybe even think about, and some of the stuff I want to put out there just so people can, comment on it. But
Mhm.
like one thing we did with Undeterred, right, is we had like just the mastermind, like the higher end, like the more hands-on thing that we're selling. Everything else we were just value, value, value.
Mhm.
And then once it was working, they were like, okay, this is something we're going to put in a tier, but super low, right? Like these, like $9 a month. I
Mhm.
think you could even just start doing these calls, like in the in your community that you have, like to where
Mhm.
we're like working on some of this stuff together, 10/25th type stuff.
Mhm.
And right now it could be free, but I think it would get some of the people to be like, hey, I want to work with you. Like have you actually do it, which would help you make whatever money you're charging for that. And then
Mhm.
once you start getting enough people on the calls, you can just be like, hey, the group, you can ask the questions and we're going to post like replays or whatever on there. But if you want to like join us where we're doing it all together, it can be, you can put whatever price on it, $5 a month, 10 or whatever, and then just increase it
Mhm.
as like more people join. But like, I know like for me, like I love what we're talking about here, but I'm also like, yo, having that accountability would just be so, it would be great. Like it, like just even
Mhm.
if it's just us three right here, and
Yep.
we're meeting on the 25th, and we're like, all right, guys, like how much do you have to transfer? Did you hit your goals of like what you have for your target? Do you have
Mhm.
questions like that? That would just be that would be dope to me.
Mhm. That would be.
And see, Abigail, so a couple years ago, I said, okay, you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps because I was just my body was riddled. I was just sick
Mhm.
all the time, and I have a chronic illness. But I wrote two different mindsets, and I wrote these on my own. And one day I just looked in the mirror and it says, "Look, you got to make changes." It's the same thing with the money. So I came up with what's called one of the mindsets is the Rhoda mindset:
Mm.
responsible, obedient, disciplined, and accountable. And
Mhm.
I call it 8 minutes to get me moving again. And this whole conversation, it's just like God is saying, "I'm putting you where you need to be because you're talking my language." Indeed,
Mm.
I mean you're talking my language. So I had to create Rhoda to hold myself accountable, and it has been working. I mean,
Mm.
because it says, "Girl," I had to boil it down. It's like you're not even responsible, and it's like even if you get responsible, you're not you ain't staying with the program. So that's where the obedience comes in. And it says,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's because you lack discipline." And I thought, and then it says, "Well, who's gonna hold you accountable?" That's so I have written the Road to Mindset. So I talk about it a lot. I talk about it in on YouTube, but I do use it in my school. And then I have another
Good.
one, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. But what you're saying, I mean, it's just I just have to say thank you, God. He's so sweet.
Aw,
Yeah.
He's
good.
so sweet.
Amen.
He's so sweet. Yeah. So this hit me. Yeah.
Hmm. Good.
Yeah.
I'm very glad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we didn't even talk about taxes yet, so do we want to stop here and do a separate thing, or do you want to cover that like real quick? Because it's not going to be too in depth.
But it's
I
up
would
to
well, I would prefer a separate one because I really would like to get into the tax thing. I mean, I'm so serious, but
okay.
D, it's your spot. I might. you know.
What I think would probably be best then is like, since you put that out there, is like the people that are interested in that, they need to join Avocado Entrepreneur, and then they can get that info, because
Okay.
I think this is a good teaser or introduction of like what you're doing and what people can expect. I think there's going to be a lot of people that watch the replay and they're like, okay, I think like some things people don't know, like they think they know what they know,
Mhm.
and then you're like, oh, I didn't know what that was going to be. I actually don't know what I think. Managing money just means like, oh, I'm not in crazy debt, but like, do you have everything tracked? You know what I mean? Do
Mhm.
you know what's going on? And
Yeah.
also, I think if you start coming up with some accountability thing where we're doing it together, I really think people will be
Yeah.
interested, because I don't know. I think I just don't have, like, even after I read Profit First, I'm like, even the people at the bank don't understand what I'm doing. Like, I
Mhm.
don't have
Mhm,
anybody that I can do
mhm,
this with, that can
Yeah.
hold me
mhm.
accountable, that can be like, bro, like, you spent that money in a loving way. Like, you need to wait, you need to transfer this. People that we can talk to about, like, hey, I want to invest in this program. It's a little bit out of my operating expenses. Should I do it? Should I not? Like, I
Mhm.
think we need a good community, especially if we're talking also about biblical principles
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
holding each other accountable to do this. I think, like, in the church we just don't have that. It's kind
No.
of like, pray, God's going to provide, and it's like, I get that, but also like we need to put in our
But
work.
but
And
we
I
are the
think,
ones burying our talents in the ground, and that didn't go so well for that guy, so
It
yeah,
didn't. It did not. That story is magnificent. Yeah. I mean, this the biblical piece of this. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I can rant for hours about that part too.
I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah, and because we just had a message on the tax collector, the one who went up the sycamore tree and he wanted to see Jesus for himself.
Zacchaeus.
Oh my, yeah, yeah. Zacchaeus, yeah, what was it? Zacchaeus?
Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus.
Yeah.
Zacchaeus, yeah. And he went up that tree, and when he was convicted, that's kind of what this meeting is for me. It's like, oh wow, God, okay, now I know where you're putting, like, I'm in a completely different space
Mhm.
Let's go.
from 2 years. I'm telling you, I'm in a much better spot. Thank
Let's
thank
go.
you.
Whoop,
Yeah, it's
whoop.
like, that's when you're in church and you want to get up, you want to do, you want to shout, you want
Mhm. Do a happy dance.
yeah, yeah. But I'm sitting too. I mean, I would really be just shouting, but
We on the
I'm
organ.
yeah, I would start singing a solo or something, but I'm so full right now.
Hmm.
I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. And so now it's like, I'm gonna breathe. I can do this. So you got some people, D, that's gonna be like me. It's like, okay, she's gonna send me the sheet, and then I get started, and it's like, oh crap, I can't do this. I'm not used to it. But you can,
You can.
because I did. I
Mhm.
can't even begin to tell you, not just the money part, but once you start, it's the habit. And once
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
get in that habit and you're disciplined at it, and you say, okay, this time every day, I'm going to do my transfers. This time every day, I'm going to make sure when I get paid, I look at it. If it hadn't hit the bank, I know it's not going to hit the bank yet. It's going to be there on this time of the year, this time of the month. I know it's going. And it's not like it's going to take you long. It's just
Doing
being,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's being disciplined. It's
Yeah.
like, and you're being grateful, and then to put the tithe in there. Now I'm all about tithing, but I ain't getting into that with everybody else, because church people don't do want to do
But
tithing.
I
Yeah.
think, and I've talked to other authors about this, where it's like, Prophet First or whoever. I remember, I forget what the guy's name is that wrote that, but I had talked to him
Mike
a couple times.
McAllowitz.
Yeah, I've talked to him before, and it's like, they kind of just, they give you a book and they dip. It's like there's
Mhm.
no like
Yeah.
additional support. And I think that's where you can kind of step in, Abigail, is like, we have these books, we have Rich Dad Poor Dad, we have these things, but it's like,
Mhm.
it's the accountability and the questions, and then doing it with other people. And I think like
Mhm.
you can be one of the first, and then if not one of the first, like one of the best to like do that, like
Mm.
bring us together and like help us. Because like Monica said, like there's going to be people that like, dude, I tried doing that for a month, but it's like working out. It's like it's hard to like stay consistent.
Mhm.
Right.
So we need you. We need you. Come to our rescue.
Mm. Well, come join me in my group, and that's what we'll do.
So yeah, speak about that. How do people join? How do people find you?
Yeah, so my ecosystem is on school right now. So if you can see my name, then click on my name, and Avocado Entrepreneur is in my profile. And then I also have a website, avocadoentrepreneur.com, which is a whole site, but it links to school as well.
Mhm.
Um, And yeah, and I think next week we will do this money management. We'll put it into a challenge and we'll actually get the account set up and the transfers and calculate your percentages for how much you need to put in each category and that kind of stuff. So
Please.
we'll get that set up and then we'll start doing accountability transfer. We'll think of a fun name, but on the 10th and the 25th.
I think just what do you call it when you do it? Like I used to
I
call
call it my can auto distributions.
I love it.
yeah, I think even if you just say can distributions, I'm a big fan of just calling it something super straightforward. Like,
Yeah, that's what I
I,
call it, but like it doesn't make sense unless you hear the whole story about the cans and the
yeah,
blah
but
blah blah.
if we're in your community, we're gonna know. And if you don't know, like, I think that's why you having to start here. You just have like a here's the calls, like people, and then there's a description for it, so like people will
Mhm.
know. But
Okay.
then we're all like, yo, we're doing our can thing. Yeah,
Whoop, that's it.
let's go.
Okay, so that's
There we
for the
go.
screen share. Cause
Let's
I
go.
don't look, cause people be saying Monica was listening, she ain't listening no more. No, boo, I'm listening. I'm going on here, y'all. Follow my
She's
girl.
doing her homework right now.
Right.
Woo!
Okay. There it is.
Let's go. Well, I appreciate you doing this, Abigail. I'm really
Mm,
excited. I think this will be fun to look back on in like a year where it's like, yo,
yeah.
remember when we did
Oh my
that
God.
workshop?
Yeah,
God.
my example was $750.
Yeah, that's dope. I appreciate you being vulnerable about that too, because I think that will be cool to look back on in a year where it's like, dang, remember these numbers that we were talking about? Now,
Yes.
Abigail helped me to write off my jet like Grant Cardone. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Cool. Well,
Yes.
appreciate you coming on here too, Monica. Also, Michelle. I know that she said that she's juggling the kids as always, but yeah, I appreciate it. And then anybody that's watching this, like, just get into Undeterred and connect with Abigail, join Avocado Entrepreneur. I think it's gonna. I think this has the potential to really be like really big, honestly,
Hmm.
because we need a
Yes,
lot of
it
help with
does.
it.
Hmm.
It does.
Thank you.
I just
I'll
want
see you in there
listen,
on Monday.
I do what I'm saying I'm gonna do, but I want other people to get in there
Here,
because
wait.
I'm
Let's
telling
see.
you.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Huzzah.
Good, good, good. I mean, that's the least I can do. But I didn't mean to cut you off, D. I'm so full right now. And D, I
I love it.
appreciate you, your group. I'm learning between you, Andrew, Amir Settingan. All I mean, and you hooked me up with all those people, and now I I have not gone wrong by being
Hmm.
in Undeterred.
Amen to that.
Bro, I'm so serious.
Thank you.
I'm so serious. I have made the best connections, but it's made me. I did a video in Loom, and I'm gonna post it, but it's I'll post it in my group, but to post it anywhere else, it's kind of goofy. But it says I have a new superpower, and I'm trying to figure out what's my superpower. And I said my superpower is just being better.
Mhm.
Let's go.
You know, yeah. But D, thank you,
Hmm.
I
Abigail,
appreciate you.
thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. I'm glad
Yeah.
we could help.